Hello, 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 everybody. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. I am Dr. Kerrie. I am excited to be partnering with Jasmine Moore and Melissa Watkins tonight for home ownership in 2024. All right, because everyone deserves to own a home. And so we are giving you so much knowledge. We're going to be dropping a whole bunch of gems. So first thing I need you to do before we go into introductions is get you a journal and get you a pen because you need to be taking notes. I have experts in the field. I'm an expert. Jasmine's an expert. Melissa's an expert. Don't come to me about credit. Don't go to Jasmine about credit. Go to Melissa about credit. Don't come to me about pre-approval. Go to Jasmine about pre-approval. And so everyone knows like this is just what we do. And so I'm super excited to present tonight home ownership and 2024. We're going to go through some quick introductions and then we're going to pray before we get started because anything I do, I always usher in the Holy Spirit and allow God to just do what he's going to do. Okay, so real quickly, welcome again. If you are on Facebook or Instagram, just get in the chat. Like, let us know where you're at, where you're tuning in from, so we can, share those comments later on throughout the broadcast. All right. So my name is Dr. Kerrie Carter Walker. I am a real estate consultant. So I'm an investor, I'm a realtor, but I ultimately just help you figure out your real estate needs. That's what I love to do. I'm a transformational speaker, Christian life coach. I am also a policy ambassador for the Austin Board of Realtors, and I work with District 2 here in Austin, Texas. I used to be a former assistant principal and teacher, so I love students. I love this type of stuff. That's just who I am because I love people. But at the end of the day, I love helping people create the life that they desire and they deserve. Y'all make sure y'all share this broadcast out. Next up is Jasmine Moore. I'm going to give her the floor.
Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Jasmine. I am an executive loan officer at Rocket Mortgage. I absolutely love what I do. My passion is helping people understand that they have the ability to own a home. I've been in the industry for 6 years. I'm passionate about financial literacy, and I am your mortgage homegirl.
Yes. And then Melissa.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited for tonight. My name is Melissa Watkins. I am a board certified credit specialist and consultant, a seven-figure funder. So I help entrepreneurs and business owners, investors obtain funding for their business and personal ventures, a business credit coach. I'm also a real estate investor, and I'm just extremely passionate about educating people on credit, all things credit. How to leverage funding, how to invest, all of those things. So I'm very excited because I do have a passion for helping people with credit and home ownership as well.
Love it. And just a little side note, she got me approved for $87,000 in business credit. So this is your credit expert, okay? Jasmine, I've been working with since 2021. She is an expert, like an executive loan officer. She is your go-to, the mortgage homegirl. So y'all, make sure y'all connect with these ladies, okay? I see y'all in the comments for showing up. Hello, hello. All right, Kendra from Maryland. What is up? What is up? So I am going to go into prayer real quick, and then we are going to get into our presentation. All right. So God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for waking each and every one of us up. Thank you for everyone that is tuning in live and the people that will watch the replay. Thank you for Jasmine and Melissa for their yes to come on this broadcast and to share their information. We pray against any technology issues, any interference at all. Decrease us and increase your Holy Spirit and whatever we have for the people that they are able to retain it. Open up their ears and their eyes to receive the information and to retain it, but then also to implement it, right? We always go to all these trainings and things, but we don't always implement it. So I just pray that people are able to move forward and take action. We thank you, Lord, for your grace and for your mercy. Continue to cover us and protect us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. So we are going to go into our training for tonight. And so how I like to start these is home ownership. There are so many benefits to being a homeowner, right? There's so many times people talk about renting and, the benefits of renting, but home ownership, you have so many federal tax benefits, especially in this market. When we're building equity, we can go in and buy a home. For instance, this is just an example, $200,000. By the time we close on that home, there could be $20,000 worth of equity. It could be worth $220,000 in this market. You just never know. So buying a home, it's an investment, right? This is something that you'll be able to live in, to pass down to your kids, maybe live in it for a little bit and turn into a rental property. There's so many different things you can do with being a homeowner. One, you have privacy as well, right? Being a renter, sometimes if you're in an apartment, you got walls and you can hear people and above you and below you and X, Y, and Z. But home ownership gives you that privacy, but it also gives you stable payments. Sometimes landlords will be like, you know what, the market rent is going up, I'm gonna increase your rent, right? Or apartments, I'm gonna increase your rent. So you have stable payments with home ownership, okay? And then again, just a long-term investment. So many different benefits to owning a home, all right? Now, how I like to kind of go about this is we have to talk about goal setting and budgeting, and then we're going to get into credit, right? Some of you are here because you're like, you know what? I need to repair my credit. I need some help. Melissa's going to help y'all with that, all right? So we're going to get to that. Some of you may have never heard of a pre-approval letter. Well, that's why my girl, the mortgage home girl, Jasmine Moore, is here. She going to get y'all set up. And then I'm your trusted agent, all right? So I'm going to be able to help you and walk you through those steps. And we're going to go over house hunting and offer negotiating and a few other things, all right? If y'all are with me, drop some ones in the chat if you are following along with this. I have quite a few people that are on, so I'm excited that y'all are here. So goal setting and budgeting. Some of the things that I need you to write down in your journal. Remember, you should have a journal and a pen. How much money do you have right now? Right? How much do you have saved? How much do you have in your mutual fund? How much do you have in your 401k? We got to be able to look at our money to try to figure out how we can use our money as a tool. All right. I need you to also think about, and Jasmine can talk about this, how much money you may need for a down payment. So you got to be able to write that stuff down, because if you're not journaling about it, if you're not thinking about it, if you're not maybe even creating a vision board about home ownership, then what are we really doing? Right? Don't just show up here and not implement. We got to think about those things. And so I want you to also think about setting a goal for saving each month. So if I know I need 3%, right? And we'll get into that 3% for a down payment. Well, how much is that? What does that look like? How much each month do I need to set aside? How much maybe do I need to invest in order to get a return, right? And you also need to track your expenses. Some of us are eating out too much. We're shopping too much. And some of that money that Uber Eats, right, could be going right back into saving for a down payment. So some of those things we just may not know because of lack of knowledge. But that's why we're here to help you track those expenses, figure that out. So as we go through this, think about that. Write these questions down. Start tracking your expenses and figuring out what you need to save in order to get that down payment. Okay? Now, if you have any questions throughout the entire presentation, you can drop them in the chat. We're not going to answer questions until the end. So you're going to have to stick around if you want those questions answered. Okay? Now, I'm going to pass the floor over to my girl, Melissa, so she can talk about all things credit.
Awesome. So this segment is called the ABCs of Credit, your key to unlocking home ownership. So what is a credit score? So a credit score is a 3-digit number that's designed to represent the likelihood that you're going to pay your bills on time. So there's many different credit scores and scoring method models. We're going to go over the FICO scoring model in this because that's most likely used and generally used when it comes to applying and getting approved for a mortgage. Higher credit scores generally are going to result in more favorable credit terms. Credit scores are calculated using the information on your credit report. So they're going to look at your payment history, the amount of debt that you have, the length of credit history. So specifically when you're looking for a mortgage, and Jazz will talk more about this, the debt to income ratio, things of that nature are going to come into play. But overall, the credit score is going to give them lenders a good picture of if you're lendable or not. So there's 3 main credit bureaus, which most people know about. The first one is Experian, then we have Equifax, and we have TransUnion. A lot of people think that these are government entities, and they're not. They are actually for-profit companies, and they make a lot of money selling information, credit monitoring, different things of that nature. Some other vital credit reporting agencies that a lot of people are not aware of are Innovis, LexisNexis, and SageStream. So Innovis is often known as the 4th main credit bureau, but I always recommend when people are trying to dispute information, especially if it's coming back and it's saying it's verified, to check with these other reporting agencies. So Innovis, you actually have your own credit report with them. You can request it, you can dispute items like you would on the main 3 credit bureaus. And then LexisNexis is kind of like the big brother of credit bureaus. They have any IP address that you've ever had, any email address that you've had from middle school on, the siding of your house. They have any car insurance company that you ever used. They have a lot of information. So a lot of times when people have liens, judgments, or bankruptcies, or any real estate transaction, they're getting that information from LexisNexis. So I always tell people to dispute directly with LexisNexis. Also, it's always important just to get your report, because a lot of times people will have inaccurate information, and your car insurance rates, things of that nature, can be affected by what's on LexisNexis. So I always encourage people to get a copy of that report and dispute anything inaccurate on there. And then we also have SageStream. They report to auto lenders, credit card issuers, retailers. They report utilities, mobile phone providers. So that's another agency that you may want to look into as well. So the FICO scoring method, there's actually 16 different versions of the FICO scoring method. FICO scores range from 300 to 850. So 850 is the best that you can have credit score wise. And you actually have control over 550 of those points. So I kind of broke it down here how the FICO scores are calculated. So we have payment history is calculated with 35% of your score. So this is making sure that we pay our bills on time. 30% is from credit utilization. So this is showing how you maintain your credit. So if you have a credit card that has $1,000 limit and you owe 99%, $990, you have 99% credit utilization, it's going to drop your score significantly. So 30% of how your FICO score is calculated is coming from your credit utilization. So I know a lot of people say, under 30% credit utilization is good, which it is good. But if you're really trying to max out your credit score, I always recommend between 1 to 6% utilization. And people also say, well, what if I just pay it off? They actually look at that as a negative thing, which is, I know it doesn't make sense. I always tell people credit is a game, because it's calculated the same as if you had 30% utilization if you have 0% utilization, which it makes no sense, but it's kind of, they want to see something, but they want you to not need the credit, if that makes sense as well too. And then we have credit age. So that's kind of your average age of accounts that's on your credit. So if you're a new borrower, there's not a lot you can do besides maybe getting added on as an authorized user from like a family member or a friend, but that makes up 15%. So it's not as much as the payment history and credit utilization. And then we have credit mix. So that FICO likes to see a mix of scores. They want to see real estate on there. They like to see, installment loans, revolving accounts. They like to see a good mix on there. And that makes up 10%. And then we have new credit, applying for new credit, which is inquiries. So that's when you're going out to apply for things that results in a hard inquiry on your credit report. So that also accounts for 10%. And then what has the most impact on your score? So we talked about payment history. So our goal is to not have anything late, no charge-offs, specifically within the last 24 months, but of course we want none at all. Credit utilization, we talked about this, between 1 to 6%. And if you want to find out what your credit utilization currently is, a lot of credit monitoring sites like Experian, which is free, for example, will tell you, but you can always take the balance owed divided by the credit limit, and that will give you the credit limit on your card. And when we say credit utilization too, we're not just looking at overall, we want it to be for each specific credit card. And then credit age, we talked about having an authorized user. So for example, my daughter just turned 19. So when she was 17, we added her as an authorized user on my husband and I credit card. So then she was able to start off at 18 with 20 years on this card, 10 years of history on this card, nice high credit limits, 31,000. So then she was able to get approved on credit cards, her own credit cards, because she had that age and was able to benefit off of our relationships and good credit. So some things that negatively impact a credit score, we talked about a high credit utilization is huge. I have seen someone, using up those cards and they're like, my score dropped 100 some points, and it's because their utilization went up. So it can really significantly negatively impact your score when you're swiping those cards. New collections, same thing. I've had someone have a collection for $10 and it dropped them 100 points. Anything new, especially within the first 2 years, that's negative is going to significantly impact you. Late payments, this is another one. Late payments can, especially the more that it goes delinquent, the more it affects your credit report and your credit score. Repossessions and charge-offs, another thing. Bankruptcies, any like public records, that's going to definitely negatively impact a credit score. And then also excessive inquiries. We see that it only makes up 10%, so it's not going to drop you 200 points, if you're going crazy applying, but it does negatively impact you. And then also when creditors look at that, they kind of get a little nervous because they're like, why are you applying for so much stuff? So it makes them feel like a little uneasy. So sometimes people will get denied when they're applying for credit just based upon excessive inquiries. And then how do you address negative items? So if you have negative items, what can you do? So the first thing is you can dispute the account. You can always go for free, do it online, write letters, and dispute the account. Another thing is a goodwill letter or email. So let's say you had an account that you've never been late on, and maybe you had it on auto pay and something happened and you got hit with a 30-day late. I always tell people it's free. It's not guaranteed, but I've seen it happen a lot of times where they were able to maybe send a letter to the CEO of the company and say like, hey, this is what happened. This is my circumstance. Would you be able to help me out? And I've seen people, CEOs of companies or, someone in their office remove a 30-day late payment because goodwill. So that's one thing that you can try, or try reaching out to the credit department. And another thing is a pay for deletion. So let's say you had a medical bill that went to collections and it's for $100, but it dropped your score 100 points and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. And you realize that it is valid. You could call the collection agency and say, hey, I'm willing to pay this. I see this on my credit report. We're not going to address guilt to it, but we're going to say, I see this and I would like to get it off. I'm willing to pay for it if you will delete it off my credit report. Now, this is the caveat. You always want to get it in writing. I worked in collections before, and unfortunately, these people will lie, and say, yeah, of course I'll do that. You give them their card, and then after, oh, no, we didn't say that. We said we would put it settled in full, and which is not going to help your credit. Yes, it's great that you don't owe that debt anymore, but it's not going to help you credit-wise. Or you might have an account that was 5 years old that's going to come off in 2 years, and you might do a settlement and say, hey, look, I owe $1,000, but I'll give you $300. And they might say, yeah, you have to get it in writing. Have them send you an email, a letter or something, because if not, they will act like, okay, we never said that. So definitely. But that's a good way also to just kind of get stuff deleted off there quickly, usually updates within 30 days. So if it's something that you legitimately owe, that is an option as well too. And then the last thing is I wanted to offer everyone a free homebuyer credit analysis. And what we do is we get your credit report, we go through with it, it's completely free, and just kind of assess what's hurting you, what's helping you, any things that we can see that can give you tips to kind of help qualify for your mortgage. We work with a lot of mortgage lenders with, clients who want to buy a home, but their credit is not there. So we have a lot of experience with that. So I would love to help you guys. If you have any questions, or if you just, kind of like, I don't know what to do, we would love to assist you, because it can be a lot of, hidden red tape, and it is really a game. Credit is really a game. So we love to assist you with that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa, for dropping so much knowledge. If y'all have questions, make sure y'all put those in the comments. If you have any questions, we're going to answer those at the end. But I know there's some questions about credit that you've been wanting to ask. So this is your opportunity to do so. Okay. And so now we're going to move forward with the mortgage homegirl, Jasmine Moore. She's going to go through the loan process. So she has the floor.
Well, thank you so much for that, Melissa. That is such valuable information. And trust me, you want to see Melissa first before coming to see me so that you can get everything done. Getting that credit cleaned up really helps with this portion of the home buying process. So once you guys are ready, the first thing is we start with an application. We start with the application, and with my company, we are actually able to start with a soft inquiry. So we will take a look at your credit without it being a hard inquiry, which means it will not affect your score right off the bat. It won't start off with a hit to your credit score. Once we start that, once we get an application from you, which basically is just getting your name, your phone number, your address, your work history, all of that information is putting to an application, and we are able to develop what's called a pre-qualification. Pre-qualification will just tell you this is how much you're able to afford to purchase a home. This pre-qualification comes without any documentation. This is all word of mouth. This is based off of what you've told me. So if you tell me I make $50,000 a year, I will use that number and I will say this is how much you're pre-qualified for. Now, once we get the pre-qualification, we will request documentation. And the documentation, once that comes, it will, oh, sorry. I hear something in the background. Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So once we get the documents from you, because we already have your pre-qualification, now we're looking for basically 4 main pieces of information. I need your income, your assets, which is your bank statements, and then I need your identification. And then your income will also include your W-2s and tax returns from previous years. We need to be able to prove that there's 2 years work history. So that's why we ask for our tax returns and W-2s. Once we have that complete, then we do what's called a verified approval. A verified approval is done when an underwriter reviews your items and we're able to say you are fully approved. We've received all your documentation, everything is good to go, and we can give you a full approval. That all that means now is that we're going to go look for a house. That's when you go and you find a house with Dr. Kerrie. And once that house is found, you're going to go through the process that she'll go over a little bit later. But the thing that we need the most is the appraisal. As a mortgage company, we need to know that that home holds the value that we're now going to lend you. So we always go off of what that appraisal comes back as to be able to say, yes, we can loan you this money. It has to be collateral and it has to be equal. The home can be worth more, that's fine, but the home can't be worth less than what we're offering you. So for example, if you're looking to get a loan for $300,000, let's say you get an appraisal and the home is worth $305,000, great. You're golden, you're walking in with $5,000 in equity. If we get the appraisal back and it comes back at $290,000, we have a gap. We have a situation where we can't loan you $300,000 because the home is only worth $290,000. So it would be something that where you would have to probably put more money down or ask for the seller to reduce your price. That's a conversation that you'll have with your agent, Dr. Kerrie. Once we have all that, we lock your interest rate in, and we decide, okay, what rate works for you? This is where you decide if you want to pay to buy your points down. Do you want to buy your rate down and make it a lower interest rate? Or do you want to keep it where it's at, which is par, means it doesn't cost you anything, and it's whatever the rate is for that day. When we lock that interest rate, no matter what happens in the market, if it goes up tomorrow, if it goes down tomorrow, it's locked at what you locked it at today, whatever day that is. Now we would have, now that we have our rate locked, we have our appraisal, we know what house we're purchasing, we go back to underwriting to get a conditional approval. A conditional approval just basically states that we're waiting for underwriting to clear everything. We need to make sure title is finished with the home. We need to make sure that all of the inspection items, if there are any, are completed. And then we need to get a clear to close from our underwriter saying we have received all the documentation and all of the items that we need for your home. This is where you partner really closely with your agent who is doing all of the hard work behind the scenes to make sure that those items are completed for you. Once you have that clear to close, and you're done, guess what? You get your keys. It's the best feeling in the world to get to that closing table and say, you know what, we did it. And this is a process that does not have to take long. This process can go pretty quickly, especially when you're partnered with an agent and a lender that will be able to make this a streamlined process for you. Okay, you can go on. Now, we're going to talk about what things are needed. To get pre-approved, which is that first step up in my list of items that we're doing, we're going to look for a few items. Your credit score, which is what Melissa was just talking about, the minimum score is a 580 with an FHA loan. That's the lowest that we will be able to approve you with. For a conventional loan, the minimum is 620. For the VA, there isn't a minimum, but they will look at credit history. That is something that has to be reviewed, and it's contingent upon how your credit history. If you have a hard time, we need to definitely get with Melissa and clean some stuff up, okay? If you're self-employed and you're buying using a bank statement loan or some other non-qualified mortgage program, then your score needs to start off at a 660. We would have to make sure your score starts there. Now, that's one of the main things I let everyone know, because people think that they can't qualify and they have a 590. You can. You got, as long as you're over 580, we can buy a house. Okay. So we have to work on that. So the next thing is income. The way that we review your income, we look at what you make versus what you pay out every month. We calculate what's called your debt to income ratio. The way that we calculate that, I put that on the slide here, is we take your total monthly debt and we add it with what the new monthly payment will be for the home you're purchasing. And then we divide that by your gross monthly income. Now, when I say your monthly debt, it's not the total balance, it's the payment that you have. So your car may be $40,000. We're not looking at that $40,000. We're looking at what your payment is for that car every month. So if your payment is $300, we're using that number to determine what your debt to income ratio is. Now, I would like, if you can, in the chat, if you can tell me, what are you, let's see, what's a good question? Let's start with, what is a home payment that you feel comfortable paying? Put a number in there. The comfortable, where you feel comfortable with a monthly payment for your house, not your debt. You don't have to put all your business out there. I'm not going to make you do that. But what is a comfortable payment for you? Now, when you put that in there, and then you can, on the side, using your notebook, if you add that monthly payment to your debt, your monthly debt, and you divide that by your gross monthly payment, which is what you get every month before taxes, the gross monthly income, if you divide that, as long as you're under 50%, you're in a good spot. We try to stay under 50%. FHA will let you go to 57, but it's a little tough. I would say I don't want to be that strapped. You don't want to be house poor. I would say really try to pay down some of your debt so that you can be comfortable. I see that $1,500 is comfortable for you. That's great. So if you add that number to your monthly debt and divide that by your gross monthly income, you'll determine what your debt to income ratio is. And as long as it's under 50%, we can buy a house. Okay. Now, going on to your assets. Something that we need to make sure we have when we're looking to purchase a home is savings. There are a lot of ways to get some money as well. We can do gift funds. We can do DPA programs. There's a lot of options out there as far as funding. But it's, in my opinion, and in my expert opinion, I believe that it's really a wonderful thing to be able to use your funds to free yourself of the down payment assistance programs. Sometimes can be a little bit costly. They're not free. Everything that comes is not free. So you definitely want to make sure that you are aware of what your options are and what the price of getting that money is, because there is a price for those funds. So your funds to close include your closing cost and your down payment. I believe Dr. Kerrie will go into more detail about what your closing costs are. Is that correct? I can't remember. Yes. Dr. Kerrie is going to go over your closing costs. So I was going to say all that, but I'll let her go through that stuff. But your down payment.
If you want to, you're the lender. You can do that.
Yeah.
No problem.
Awesome. So, and I'll briefly go over it. So your closing cost typically is going to include your origination fee, which is the cost of doing your loan. It's going to include your appraisal, which is the cost for appraising your home, your survey for your house, title fees, and escrow fees, which is taxes and insurance. So when you look at that and you put that with your down payment, let's just use the number 300,000. Let's say you're buying a home for 300,000 and we're going to do an FHA loan. An FHA loan requires 3.5% down. I have a calculator here because I'm not going to do it in my head. That means that you're going to need, that's not right, 300,000 minus 3.5. I did this before. It's 10,500 that you're going to need for a down payment. That's just on a $300,000 home for an FHA loan. Your down payment is 10,500. Now, when you're looking at your total funds to close, you have to remember there's those other fees we just talked about: an origination fee, appraisal, survey, title, and escrow fees. I would typically say, using those numbers, I would say anywhere between 1.5% to 3% additional is what you would need. Now, the wonderful thing is you have an agent with Dr. Kerrie. She's a realtor who will negotiate some of those fees for you. And you could even see if a seller will pay some of those closing fees. The more that the seller is willing to contribute, the less you have to come up with. And that is allowed. So your seller can assist you with those closing costs. And it does really help you with the final bottom number at the end. Okay. There are numerous loan types. We just went over a few of them: FHA, conventional, VA, and self-employed, which means we do bank statement loans and profit and loss loans. A lot of times, like I said, if you have questions, it's always better to get in touch with me, because the thing is, every scenario is different. I've been in lending for 4 years now, and not one time since I've started this have I touched a file that was the same as another file. Not one time has it been repetitive. It's always different. Everyone's financial temperature is different. Everyone's financial story is different. Their background is different. Income is different. It's never the same. So it's best to speak with me in person so that we can discover what is the best route for you. For one person, a conventional loan may be the absolute best route, and for someone else, an FHA loan might be the best route. So let's chat and talk about that for sure. Now, going through a loan requires a lot of documentation. We ask for everything but your blood type. No, we want to know everything. So if we're going through your income, again, it's pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns. Your assets will be your bank statements, your 401k if you're using funds from that, any award letters, say you have Social Security income, or if you have VA benefits or a gift letter. We need to have all the documentation to paint the picture that we want the underwriter to see when we submit your file for approval. The main thing that I think makes it super clear is realizing that we're basically setting up a case file for you when we send all these documents in. We want to make the best picture so the story is told to the underwriter that this person is qualified and should be able to purchase a home. And that's my job. I make sure that we make that picture look really nice. I use all the colors in the crayon box. Okay. I make sure that it looks really good so that when we submit it, we get back that approval. Now, how to pick your lender, you want to pick someone who is patient and understanding. Not all lenders are made the same. I will say that ahead of time. I'll even give a brief story. Before I even became a lender or came into real estate, I applied for a mortgage loan. And at that time, it was about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, something like that. I was pre-approved for $180,000, and I was so excited. But my lender wasn't too happy with that number, and he ignored me. Okay. And I felt really bad. So when I became a lender, I said I would always make sure that no matter what the dollar amount or how much work we need to do, you will feel valued in the step that you're taking on your home buying journey. No matter what, you're going to always know that you are talking to someone who is partnering with you. That's why I'm called the Mortgage Homegirl. I'm a partner with you, and make sure that you know that you are valuable. Your time is precious, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to get you to that closing table. Your dream is attainable. I'm available to answer all your questions. I work Saturdays and Sundays as well. I'm not a 9-to-5 lender. I work on the weekends as well. And I will walk you through every single step. I'm here for you, not just for the transaction. Even after closing, I am a partner to stand alongside you to help you with this whole entire journey that you're going to have as a home buyer.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Jasmine, that was absolutely amazing. Great job with presenting all the information. Melissa, amazing job. Like, I hope y'all are getting so much value from this. I already see some questions in the chat, and we'll get those towards the end. But wow, that's why I love partnering with amazing women, because y'all know y'all stuff, y'all care about people, you have a heart to serve. And I just want to applaud both of you women for that. So now, all right, so you got onto Melissa, right? Melissa got your credit all good and all juicy and ready to go. She passes you along to Jasmine. Jasmine gets you all dolled up, and she gets you the pre-approval letter. Now you just got to come over to your girl, all right? You just got to come on over to me, and we're going to figure out how to get you the house of your dreams, okay? And the same thing, when it comes to that dollar amount, I'm not worried about the dollar amount, right? If I can find you a house for $200,000, we're going to find a house for $200,000. If we can find a house for $500,000, we'll find a house, right? Like, we will work together, because all things are possible and everything in real estate is negotiable. But you want to make sure you find someone, right? When you're looking for an agent, maybe it may not be me. Maybe I'm too much energy for you. All right. And I get that. I might be, but I got a heart and I love to help. And the things you want to look for in an agent is someone that understands the current market, right? Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? What are interest rates right now? Do they even understand the neighborhood, the demographics, the schools? What do they know? Do they know the market? Do they have someone like Melissa on their team to be able to, hey, you got credit issues? Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and send you right over to Melissa. Then I'm gonna go ahead and send you right over to Jasmine, who is a lender. And then we'll start the process, right? Another thing is, make sure you're not looking for an agent that is a paper chaser, all right? And what do I mean by that? Somebody that's money hungry and that is greedy. I've seen a lot of agents out here that are really just in this just for the money. Yes, we have bills to pay. Yes, we got families, to feed. But at the end of the day, are we really showing up to help you? Right? Home ownership can be a daunting thing for a lot of people, but I want to be able to come in and partner with Melissa and partner with Jasmine to make this process smooth and easy. And at the end of the day, we will get you those keys, and you're going to be able to walk into the home that you really have desired, and you really do deserve. Okay. But yes, your trusted agent is right here. So after we've gone through that, you've chosen me as your agent. This is kind of like how I like to move forward is we're going to meet, right? Whether we meet on Zoom or whether we meet at my office, we're going to meet because I want to get to know you. I want to build a relationship. This is not just, I'm going to help you get a house and then we don't talk anymore, right? Now I have had clients where we got the house, we've done it, and, they disappeared. It is what it is. But I'm the type of agent, I get invited to baby showers. I get invited to weddings. Like, that's what I like, because I'm building a relationship. It's more than helping you buy or sell or invest in real estate. So what we're going to do is when we meet, I'm going to get to know you, but I'm also going to figure out what is your criteria. Are we a good fit as well? Like, do we work? If not, it's no hard feelings. We'll part ways. Once I figure that out, and then you've gotten your pre-approval or you've gotten your credit where it needs to be, once I get that back, and I'm looking at it, okay, you are pre-approved for $350,000. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my MLS, which is where I look for all the homes in Austin and the surrounding areas, and I'm going to send you some options. Right? In your email, I'm going to send you some options. You're going to go through those, and say I send you 10 options. What I'm going to ask for you is, can you send me your top 3 to 4 or 4 to 5? And then we will schedule a tour. Once we look at all the houses, maybe it's going to take us a day. Maybe it'll take us a week. Maybe it'll take us a month. I'm not sure. We don't put a timeline on that because I want to make sure you find the right home. Once we figure that out, I'm going to submit an offer on your behalf. Okay. And basically what that offer is composed of is your offer price. How much is your down payment? What is our option period? And we'll go into a little bit of that a little bit later, but your option period, your earnest money, these are all different fees that go into paying the title company first to say like, hey, like I really want this house. We're going to look at your closing date and a couple other things is what goes into the offer. Now, once we submit that over to the sellers, okay, they have an option. Either they can accept it, they can decline it, or they can counter it. Either way, I'm here to help you figure out what we're going to be able to do. So if they counter it, we'll go back and forth. We'll negotiate to get to a price that works for everybody. Because at the end of the day, if you're only approved for $350 and say we put an offer at $330, we got a little wiggle room, right? If we put an offer right at $350, guess what? And they come back and they decline it, well, we moving on to the next house, okay? But at the end of the day, that's my expertise. I love negotiating and making sure I can take care of you. Now, when we're looking at homes, we're looking at safety, we're looking at schools, how far is it from work, from your kids' schools, or even from hospitals and grocery stores. We're looking at all that because you want to make sure if that is something that's important to you, we got to make sure we find a house that's in the right location. All right. Again, y'all drop questions in the comments. If I'm going too fast, you need to slow down or anything or go over something again, just let me know. All right. Now, once we've actually submitted the offer, okay, and it gets accepted, that's a beautiful thing when it gets accepted. We have to go into what we consider an option period. An option period can be 7 days, it can be 10 days. It can be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, depending on the market. I've seen some option days be 3 days. In a hot market, I've seen 3 days where inspectors are getting in there, checking out the house, and then moving forward. I've seen option periods up to 10 days. It really just varies on what we put into the offer. Now, during that time, that's our chance to inspect the home. We're looking at the roof. We're looking at the foundation. We're looking at for any cracks. We're looking at is there any water leaks or anything like that. Once the inspection comes back, it'll show us a detailed list of anything that is defective with the home. Then that's our opportunity to go back to that seller and be like, you know what? This needs to be repaired. This needs to repair. Either we can take care of it, meaning you give us some closing costs at the end, or can you go ahead and repair this ahead of time? Which I know FHA, right, Jasmine, you would have to get the repairs done right then and there before we close, correct?
Depending on how serious those repairs are, some of them have to be done prior to close. Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then conventional loans, not so much, right? But FHA for sure, we're going to need to get those repairs done. Now, there are some ways around that. We can ask for closing costs or change the price or whatnot. We can do all that. But at the end of the day, the inspection period is our time to negotiate any repairs or ask for closing costs. Now, while this is moving on, that appraisal that Jasmine was talking about earlier, that's getting done, right? We're looking for insurance for your home as well while we're going through the closing. Now, if we decide, right, hey, it's too much with this house, you want to back out, you will only lose that option money. So say you put $100 for the option, or you put $250 for the option fee, you will lose that money, but the earnest money that you put down, which is 1% of the purchase price, you will get that back. It will be in a check from the title company, but you will get that back as long as you end within that time period. If it's 3 days, if it's 7 days, if it's 10 days, you can get that money back. Okay, so the only money that you will lose is the option. All right. Now, once we go through all that, we've negotiated, the repairs are done, or we get those closing costs or whatnot, we get to the closing table. Okay, we get to the closing table, and like Jasmine said earlier, you get your keys. Okay, and then you get to enjoy your new home. And so some of the expected expenses during that time, right? We're talking about your monthly payment, which Jasmine talked about. Down payment, it varies, okay? Your closing cost as well. And so I'm going to go into just a few of the fees. So like I said earlier, the option fee, we can do about $100 to $500. And that covers, like I said, 3, 7, 10 days for that inspection period, okay? Now, I have seen people put out more option money than this. This is just a range, okay? Just a range. Now, your earnest money that I talked about earlier is 1%, right? That is saying, I want this house. I want to move forward. I'm putting my option. I'm putting my earnest money down. You're in it to win it. And then when we think about inspections, right? We're getting those inspections. We have to hire people like TLC or, different home inspectors to come into the house to inspect everything, like I said earlier. And those costs range from about $350 to $600. Okay. Some houses, maybe the inspector will come back and be like, you know what, there's termite issues. You might need to get someone to come out here and do that. Some inspectors do already do the termite inspections, but if they don't, there are other inspectors that can come out, $75 to $200. And this is big. If you see termites, I might run the other way if it's a big thing, because once the termites go, I think it was like a TV show or something where the termites, like she had been living in the house and pushed the wall, and it just fell down. And like it was a nightmare. And so she ended up getting her house like somehow rehabbed or whatnot, but it was a nightmare. And that was after she had lived there. So septic inspections are another thing, especially like when you live in the country or whatnot. They have septic tanks if you're not on public. And these are $100 to $750 if you need to get a septic system inspected. Okay. Foundation is big. All right. So normal home inspectors, they'll tell you, hey, in the list, hey, you might need to go ahead and hire a foundation company to come out and inspect the foundation, because what happens is they'll go through their list of things, but they may not be experts in that area. So you need to find someone that is an expert and come out and get that. And so that's $350 to about $1,000. Foundation is really important. So if they are recommending it, I would not say, oh, we're going to ignore that. No. Get it done, because if you have a defective foundation, just like in life, if you got a shaky foundation, things are going to fall to the wayside. You're going to start seeing cracks everywhere. It can mess up your plumbing. And this is coming from someone that is an investor as well, right? The foundation is a must. You got to get that taken care of. And a lot of people walk away from homes that have foundation issues, unless you're an investor, that don't really scare us too much. Maybe sometimes, it just depends. But this is really important to get a foundation inspection. Okay. Survey and appraisal. Jasmine kind of touched on this. These are just different fees that come up. All right. $450 to $600. Am I off on that, or am I pretty good, Jasmine, on that price? Okay, perfect. And so this happens if, say, you buy a house, right? You put in that offer. Most of the times the sellers already have a survey, but then there are times they don't, or maybe the survey, something has changed and you have to get a new survey. And this is negotiable. Either you as a buyer can pay for that, or the seller can come up with those costs as well. That's negotiable. And we can put that on the offer as well. The appraisal, Jasmine talked about that. That runs about $600, $850. Is that a good range, Jasmine? Okay, perfect. Now, I put this on here, but again, I got my experts here. All right. This is her lane. But again, the appraisal just appraises the entire, like, what is your home actually worth? Okay. Now, we've already went through pretty much everything. And so now it is time for any questions that you have. And so Jasmine, Melissa, y'all can come off of mute. I'm going to go through the ones that we have. So we're basically at the end of our presentation, and then we're going to have our contact information up. But I saw a couple questions out here. So let's see. Deja had this question for you, Melissa.
Okay.
If I keep
the credit utilization under 10% when we get the bill, how much should we pay on the due date to avoid? I have been paying it off in full. Also, don't want to accrue a lot of interest. This is a great question. I'm so glad you brought this up. So actually, you can pay it by the due date, because there's an important date. There's two important dates. We have our due date, and then we have our reporting date. A lot of times it might say statement date or reporting date, or you can call your creditor and ask them what day they report to the credit bureaus. So what you can essentially do, let's say your due date is the 10th. You can pay it off in full. And let's say your reporting date is the 15th. Maybe you want to put like a tank of gas on there because you have a nice credit limit, and that's going to give you that 1 to 6%, ratio that we discussed. So you put that gas on there, you let that gas, let's say it's $35 report. So then you're not paying the interest, because we can pay that $35 off again before the due date. So you're not paying any interest, but we have something reported. Does that make sense? Deja, if you're in the comments, let me know if that makes sense. Yeah, so I always recommend find out what is the reporting date. But that way you're not paying interest, but you're still not having 0% reporting.
Awesome. Y'all make sure y'all drop that in the comments, Deja. And then the next question is from Deja again.
Yes. Hi, Deja. It says, does student loans count towards monthly debt? Yes. So if you have student loans that are reporting as a payment, they're not an income-based repayment at a $0, we will count the payment that's there. If it's in forbearance, we would need to get a letter from your student loan servicer stating what that payment will be once you've been removed from forbearance. We're going to use that payment that is expected to come. But a lot of times, if it's reporting at 0, we'll use the 0. Unless it's deferred or in forbearance, then we'll have to get that letter from the student loan servicer.
All right, these are great questions. Yvonne Bradford asks, what up, Yvonne? I may have missed it, but I need help with credit repair. So Yvonne, Melissa has a QR code that we presented. If you need me to put it back up, let me know. Melissa, is there another way? I mean, I know we'll put your contact information too at the
Yeah,
end.
so that's the best way that Yvonne, that's going to send you directly to a link so that you can fill out so we can do a free analysis with you. So I always like to start out that way just so we can go over everything, because sometimes people don't need credit repair. Sometimes they just need to pay something down. Sometimes, like Jazz said, everyone's credit situation is unique. So I love to look at it first before we do anything. So that's definitely what I would recommend.
Okay. And y'all, I put it back up because I saw a couple people say, yes, I need it. So it is back on there. Yvonne said yes, and Chelsea said yes. Okay. All right. Next question. All righty.
Chelsea, you said, would you still put the earnest money with FHA? Yes. Your earnest money is basically, like Dr. Kerrie said, was just stating that I am serious about purchasing this home. And it's just letting the seller know that I'm not just giving you fluff. I am invested and I want to purchase this house.
Awesome. And here's the next one.
Okay, Chelsea, would you recommend a credit repair company or should we just do it yourself? So it's really preference. Some people want to do it themselves and they do a great job. So if you have the time, if you have the resources and kind of the education to do it, 100% you can do it by yourself. But then some people are like, okay, I don't know anything about this. A lot of my business owners are like, I don't have time to do this. I just need it. Tell me what I need to do and I need it fixed. So it's really just preference. So let's talk about, so I do own a credit repair company, but let's talk about some red flags because you don't have to go through me. You might go through some other, credit repair company. You want to make sure that they're not giving you something unrealistic. Hey, we're going to get you an 800 credit score by next week and everything's going to be off. That's not realistic. So one, legally, we're guided by the Credit Repair Organizations Act. We can't guarantee a specific score. We can't guarantee a specific time. We can't charge up front, which a lot of companies do. They'll say, okay, pay me $2,500 up front. You're not allowed to do that. You can charge a setup fee and then a monthly fee a month after you do the work. So I would say that seeing if they give you a free analysis. Some companies are really just about the money. I know this is probably not the best business practice, but I will turn people away if they're not caught up on their bills. Get caught up on your bills first and then come see me, because we're going to, one, be working backwards, and two, that could be going, what you're paying me could be going towards paying that bill. So get caught up on your stuff, first. So just see how they, kind of interview them. Don't just sign up. Don't give them a crazy amount of money. Do they have an agreement? They should have an agreement protecting themselves and you as well too. So that's kind of, there's, a lot of credit repair gets a very bad rap, and I know why, but there are a lot of people that are in the credit industry that are good and integral and really care about people and their results. So I would just say do your homework, and of course I would love to assist you if you need any assistance.
And I would definitely just say, get with Melissa, period. Like, I've worked with her personally. And if you know anything about me, you've been following me, I'm not just bringing anybody up. I'm not partnering with just anybody. Like, I need to know your heart. I need to know your real. And she does not charge until she has gotten you everything that you need. She's done that for me, hands down. So get with Melissa. Don't try to do it yourself. Sometimes we just try to do, free. But that don't always get us everywhere, and you have people out here that are really trying to help. Get with Melissa. Get with Jasmine. These are good women, y'all. Okay. Next question. Could you still be able to buy if you are currently in school? Jasmine, you want to take that one?
Yes, absolutely. As long as you have income, you can still purchase a home. As long as you have something coming in and it's consistent. So like, let's say you're in school and you're working full time or a part-time job that's paying enough and you have 2 years history of doing that, we can do that. I have also seen where, and I'm not sure if this answers your question as well, but where you graduate, say you graduate in May, and you start a full-time job from that graduation. You graduated as a nurse and you started a new job as a nurse. We still get to count the years you were in school as continuing income or a job history. It does count. We're just going to ask you for transcripts and your new job offer. Let's say you haven't even got a pay stub yet. As long as you have a job offer that shows what your income will be, we can definitely do that. Absolutely.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right. So Deja, just another yes, Melissa was patient with our credit analysis. So yes. All right, y'all. If y'all don't have any more questions, if y'all do, just drop them in the chat. I'm gonna go over our information real quick. So my information, I'm Dr. Kerrie Carter Walker. My work number is 737-242-6329. You can also email me at drkerrie@sunshinerpm.com. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's all Dr._Kerrie, Dr._Kerie. Subscribe on YouTube for notifications, not just for real estate, but also encouragement and motivation as well. And then Miss Jasmine.
All right. I don't know if that's my car or somebody's car outside, but anyways, I'm Jasmine Moore. My phone number is 210-273-5200. My email is jasminemoore@rocketmortgage.com. And pretty much any platform you can find me at themortgagehomegirl.com. Or not .com, the Mortgage Homegirl. Sorry.
Awesome.
My name is Melissa Watkins. That is my email address, info@kingconsultingexperts.com. And you can also find me TikTok, Facebook, Instagram at Business Credit Melissa.
Awesome. All right. If y'all need that information at all, I'm gonna leave this up for a few more seconds. And then, yep. Thank y'all so much for your time and your attention. Thank you again, Jasmine and Melissa, for your yes. Thank everybody that showed up live, and then also anyone that showed up to watch the replay later on Facebook and YouTube. I truly do pray that you are blessed by this information. And again, make sure you implement it. Take action. Don't just sit through another class and don't take action. Get with Melissa, get with Jasmine, get with me if you have any other questions. All right. We love y'all. We thank y'all. Enjoy the night. Share this live out with your family members and friends who you know deserve to own a home. All right. Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It's like taking forever to end the live. What's up, y'all?
We still here.
It's okay.
All right.
I don't know why it's taking this long. Oh, well. Well, that was great.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed doing that.
I did too.
That
Great
was good.
information.
1 second.
Great questions. I love that.
Yeah, they were
They
very
were really good questions.
Mm.
Yeah, this never happened before. We still alive.
Hey, I think that means there's somebody else.
Maybe somebody else has a question.
Is this for you?
That's awesome. So we definitely got some good feedback for sure.
Yes.